All right, let's get into our first topic now. And is Rachel Reeves fit to be Chancellor? That's what we're asking. 0207 862 2222 is the number. The Chancellor gave a speech this morning in Downing Street. She talked about the difficult circumstances the nation is facing and refused to rule out tax rises.
People put their faith in me to take our country forward, not to be swayed by political convenience, not to always do what is popular, but to do what is right. As I take my decisions on both tax and spend, I will do what is necessary to protect families from high inflation and interest rates, to protect our public services from a return to austerity.
Reeves has repeatedly said that she is committed to long-term growth and isn't afraid to make hard decisions to get us there. But critics say that tax rises could stifle business and lead to more unemployment. And because she failed to give herself enough wiggle room when setting her own economic rules for the government, she either has to break those fiscal rules or U-turn on Labour's manifesto pledges, for example, rising taxes for working people. Do you think she's up to the job, Russ?
Well, in a sense, it doesn't really matter what I think. Keir Starmer thinks she's up to the job. Personally, I think she's been really poor.
In what way?
Well, I mean, all that's happened since she has been Chancellor of the Exchequer is taxes have gone up, growth has ground to a halt, unemployment has gone up, and the borrowing is completely out of control. I remember when I was studying accountancy quite a few years ago now, the very first lecture storm that we had, and it's basics, the lecturer said, accountancy, there's one rule. For every debit, there's a corresponding credit. And we have got a government and a Chancellor who has created far too many debits and not enough credits. And we owe a lot of money. She should cut spending, but she can't because Labour's got a huge majority in the House of Commons. And as soon as she starts to talk and Keir Starmer starts to talk about, we're going to have a look at the welfare bill, we're going to have to cut it, they all say, well, we're going to rebel. So a large majority, in my opinion, is stifling them being able to do anything.
Jemma, what's your thoughts?
They're nuanced. So I slightly struggle with the question, is she fit to do the job? I mean, she is in terms of sort of we have relative stability at the moment, fastest growing economy in the G7, etc. And yet, who's actually benefiting from that? And my problem with this Labour government is they're mired in pessimism and unimagination. And I feel like this sort of neoliberal capitalism has just run its course now, and people can see through it. Because when she says things like people are facing, big energy bills, yeah, they are, you're right. Let's have a look at the profits, the obscene profits and the profits that, shareholders are paying to themselves when in fact that could be reinvested or we could see our bills come down. And the idea that she hasn't got any other levers to pull apart from tax people like ourselves who are feeling completely and utterly squeezed already is for the birds. And I believe that's why Zach Polansky is really cutting through at the moment. On the flip side, you've got, Farage saying that...
So on one hand, you're saying she's absolutely fit for the job because we've got stability, but on the other hand, you think she's making all the wrong decisions.
Yeah, so I think, fit for the job to me sort of says like, are you turning up for work, not having a breakdown, keeping the status quo?
Well, I think she's come pretty close to that.
It absolutely is. Is she a great Chancellor? No, absolutely not. Is she worse than George Osborne? No. George Osborne damaged this country beyond belief with austerity. So I personally am not a fan of Labour. I didn't vote for Labour, and I think they've been incredibly disappointing for a number of reasons. But I think that until we start looking at, as I say, the G7, it is growing. So actually there is some growth somewhere, but this wealth inequality. And then you've got Farage on the flip side saying that £10 an hour or whatever for a young worker is too much. That is crazy. Okay. People need to afford to eat.
We're going to go straight to the calls now because we've got lots of calls coming in, which is great. Chris from Gloucestershire, you're up first. What do you think? Is Rachel Reeves making good decisions?
Absolutely not.
What decisions is she making you don't like, and what do you think she should be doing instead?
Well, you have to go back to the question, and the question was, is she fit to be the Chancellor? Mm-hmm. She is definitely not fit to be the Chancellor.
Why?
She has shown herself to mislead, the Labour Party in the beginning when she got the job in opposition. She's misled the country by saying that she was an economist. She's misled the country in saying that she hasn't any alternative, and other than to raise tax, despite having misled the country again to say that she wouldn't raise tax. The fact of the matter is, this government is totally inept from top to bottom. They have no idea.
Just her credentials, Chris. I mean, she is an economist. She studied at Oxford. She's got a master's in economics from the London School of Economics, I believe. So, I mean, in terms of credentials there, I think a lot of people feel like she did very well as a shadow chancellor. But you don't like the fact that she's got herself into a situation where she's either going to have to break her own fiscal rules or U-turn on a Labour manifesto pledge.
Yeah, I think that's quite true on both counts. But of course, don't forget that she cannot be trusted. She lied about the tax on this, or the license fee for this property.
Oh, I think, Chris, hold on. I don't think we can say that she lied about it. She didn't pay the license, or she didn't have the license in time or something. But actually, that was her husband and the estate agent dealing with that. That was at a time where they were, it was the election. I think her brain was elsewhere. I'm not sure we can blame Rachel Reeves for that entirely.
The estate agent has actually taken culpability. You've got to remember the press are after her in a way that they wouldn't be after a right-wing chancellor. That doesn't mean I think she's doing a great job.
She made a mistake there, absolutely, but lied is quite strong, I think, on that front. But perhaps you think she lied when she says she wasn't going to raise taxes.
It's small beer as well compared to the problems that we're in. She talks about fixing the foundations, getting the economy on an even keel, reducing interest rates and inflation from 11%. She didn't do any of that. She's increased inflation. But the interesting statistic that came out about a week ago was the Office for Budget Responsibility that this government seem intrinsically linked to. Whatever they say, they'll react to it. April 24 to April 25, we were projected to borrow £80 billion. I think it was 81. It ended up just over 150. And that is down to the Chancellor. So we doubled the borrowing that the OBR said.
I think we can agree, though, this rock and a hard place in terms of what they inherited. We have to all agree that it was an absolute nightmare in terms of debt, and in terms of the debt, the interest on the debt not being insured, which was a Sunak problem. And obviously we have Brexited. We have Brexited, and there is now unanimous consensus that has damaged our economy, which actually a lot of people who voted for it agreed that it would, and they said they didn't care as long as we had sovereignty. So here we are.
Hold on, she's been in charge for, 15 months now?
Yes, 15, 16
well
months.
Over a year. Forecasting is part of economics.
Correct.
So she should have been able to see this coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Brexit's been a couple of years now. Yeah. And she should have seen that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think putting NI on employers was a ridiculous thing to do. And just for goodness sake, it comes back to this wealth inequality and the fact that there are people making passive income we can't even imagine. The other day I saw this brilliant thing. It's like, okay, if you've got £1 million, you're here. It's actually nothing compared to when we talk about real wealth and billionaires. There is wealth out there. Please, can they shoulder some of the responsibility?
Oh, they'll leave the country, Jemma. They'll leave.
That has actually been completely debunked. The people who gave that ridiculous report actually work for very, very wealthy individuals. It's just not.
They'll be off, Jemma. Okay, I promise you.
Well, then they should be fined before they leave.
Well, that's what she wants to do.
I don't want to get hung up on a wealth tax. It is another lever that she could pull, but I don't want to get hung up on that.
I love the way people who've got no money protect billionaires all the time. Oh, the billionaires. It's just so weird.
You think that's what Rachel's doing?
No, I feel like people like Russ.
No. I just believe in fairness. I believe in fairness. Just because somebody's a billionaire, they've done well.
But why should they have the same tax rate as a nurse?
You shouldn't be able to rob them of their money.
It's not robbing. Paying a fair proportion of tax. It's not robbing. You and I don't have the loopholes that they have. We can't hide it.
Well, they're closing rapidly, and they'll be off.
From West Yorkshire, what's your thought on Rachel Reeves?
She's incompetent. She's not fit enough to run as Chancellor. She's made so many mistakes. She originally lied on a CV saying she was an economist, but for a bank in HR.
I mean, she is qualified as an economist. I think whether you say it was a lie or it was a mistake, it was the title that she had while she worked there. It was a bit dubious as to whether her title was economist. But I think it's fair to say studying at Oxford and having a master's in economics from London School of Economics is fair, Mick. What do you think she's done wrong particularly?
I can give you a long list. The first one's winter fuel payment fiasco.
Okay.
But it shouldn't have been paid to the rich. And then she backed down, and then she increased the threshold from 11,000 to 35,000. So rich pensioners are going to get the winter fuel again. Absolute madness. She's common sense.
What would you like her to do, Mick?
To tax the wealthy. I want her to stop tax evasion by the likes of Amazon. To regulate people like the energy companies from ripping us off. To stop bleeding us dry through the water companies with large bill increases when they've been paying it to the shareholders for the last few decades.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's totally immoral. Broadband companies are overcharging us. Markets are overcharging us on food prices. No control. She is in office to protect the taxpayer from being ripped off. Failed continuously.
So, plenty of windfall taxes to various different industries and a wealth tax. Mick, thank you very much for your call. Ross from Glasgow, do you agree with Mick there?
Well, what my point on it is, I mean, taking the Labour Party and the Conservatives and all the rest of them, they couldn't run a menage, and I think you'll be the only one that understands that.
I'm sure I do, actually. Anyway, carry on.
From Glasgow, you must have heard of a menage.
No, but I'm scared to ask you what it is, Ross, quite frankly, because it is live.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to explain that. It's a very simple thing. I don't think she's any better or any worse than previous chancellors. Trying to do a job in an impossible situation at the moment. The country is in a terrible state. We've got to get money from somewhere. And we haven't even heard what she's got to say about the budget yet, but we're dissecting it already.
Okay, so you think we're giving her a little bit of a hard time. Where do you think she should get the money that she needs from?
Well, I do believe that income tax is one, but I do believe in the wealth tax as well. And everybody, when they say everybody should have to do their bit, everybody should have to do their bit. Everybody. Not
just the wealthy. Okay, Ross, thank you very much for your call. Some messages coming in on this. Adam on Facebook says, how can you blame this government for the mess left by the last economic crisis cover-ups by the last government? Colin on Facebook says, our economy is broken and will always be broken because of Brexit. So regardless of what a Chancellor does, it will never improve. That's fairly bleak. Lynn from Glasgow, what's your view?
Well, I don't think she's fit for the job. Last year at the budget, all we heard was this £20 bill, this £20 million deficit that the Conservatives left, and it was all their fault and everything else. That deficit has now doubled to 40. And last year she said she was putting up the national insurance to fix the foundations and get us on a solid standing, and she wouldn't be coming back for more because she's fixed the problem. But she's then created double the problem, and that's down to her. She can't then put that onto anybody else before her. It's her doing, and the fact that she put national insurance up on employers is just totally, for the growth that they were all banging on about, that totally killed the growth because it killed the jobs.
What do you say to that, Jemma? She seems to be getting blamed for the 20 billion increasing to 40 billion. Was that just a discovery she made? Was it a miscalculation on her behalf, or was it a lever she pulled badly?
Labour have spent some money. They have invested in some infrastructure and the NHS and education, etc. I just think it still comes back to there is money out there. The 1% of people in this country hold more wealth than the bottom 50% of people. And in my view, growth is created when people have a little bit of spare cash in their pocket at the end of the month, rather than desperate to get to the next payday, which most of us are. You're like, I've run out completely. There is no stimulus. People don't go out. People don't buy things. People can't save. People can't put in their pension, whatever it is.
No growth.
And so
That's where we are.
Yeah, exactly. There's no sort of customers.
growth.
You cannot
hold on,
hoard
Russ,
wealth at the top, like this insane
What
pyramid.
about a one-off wealth tax then? Because you're less likely to get the wealthy leaving, and it's a way of just increasing that economic movement.
Well, I think that anybody of substantial wealth who's threatened with a tax will have a look at their own situation and make up their mind whether they're going to accept that tax or go and pay their taxes probably less somewhere else. I think that the point that we're perhaps missing, and it's a very simple point, this is highly unusual for a Chancellor to turn up at 8 o'clock in the morning for a big press conference, all the bells and whistles, nearly 3 weeks away from the budget after weeks of speculation. And what she's done today is blame everybody else and not accepted any of the blame herself and created even more speculation. And she might not be interested, Storm, in the bond markets, but the bond markets might suddenly become very interested in
the bond markets are pretty stable, but she's teeing us up for gloom.
Disappointing.
And
Absolutely.
the bond markets will be all right with that. It's us who won't.
Okay, we're going to have to leave that there. Don't forget, later we're going to be asking if